Cheers, how you doing, buckaroos? How the heck are you? So, I'm doing a beer and whiskey pair, and I drank maybe a little bit over half now, because it took me a minute. I did a video live, and I tried to do a regular video, and it messed up on me, so I had to start over again. Anyway, you don't need to know about that, we don't care, Tom. So anyway, I have the KBS Espresso. It's a flavor stout that uses coffee and chocolate, but this espresso takes that coffee to a whole other level. It is aged in bourbon barrels, but then it is also aged over espresso beans to really give it that extra, wow. And that's kind of what it does here. It just takes those coffee flavors and aromas to a whole other level for you. And I've decided to pair it. Anyway, sorry about that. Sometimes I get carried away. With a with a Heaven's Door Tennessee straight bourbon whiskey. It is a 90 proof bourbon. So you take a coffee chocolate beer that's aged in bourbon barrels. Anytime you add bourbon barrels into the mix, you're going to add flavors of vanilla, caramel, and or toffee. You're going to add some spice notes as well. That barrel will add some spice notes to it. But what they've done here, by putting it again over those espresso beans, you've muted some of those secondary notes. And one of those is vanilla. The vanilla, it really has been moved to the back burner here. It's not gone completely. They didn't completely kill it, but it has really been set off to the side. Which is why it pairs so well with this bourbon, because in this particular bourbon, that vanilla is in the forefront. So very rich, sweet, creamy vanilla. In fact, the nose is incredibly sweet on this whiskey. With a lot of, again, feels like sweet cream vanilla, a lot of a very dark brown sugar because you have molasses-like notes. And of course, you're going to find some toasted oak, you're going to find some spice notes. But in this particular whiskey, the spice notes are kind of a bit player. And it is a rather complex whiskey, and you're going to find some dark fruit notes in there as well. It's exquisite. But much like the nose, you really get that intense sweetness right up front. Right away, the first thing you notice is all of those residual sugars jumping out at you. Again, a lot of sweet cream vanilla, a very dark brown sugar because you get these molasses notes. And then when it gets to the middle is when those dark fruit notes really pop up. And then the end is when you feel those spice and those toasted oak notes. The spice isn't as intense in this bourbon as it is in some, but it is there, and it almost acts like hops in a good craft beer, is that it's just enough to really clean it up and not overtake the other flavors and aromas going on. But because of that extra addition of coffee, it really mutes some of that sweetness that is in this beer, in the regular KBS. So by pairing it with this whiskey that is very sweet and very vanilla forward, it really works with this coffee espresso stout. The chocolate notes, again, the chocolate notes for me, again, have become a supporting character with that extra coffee. However, it is, for me, it's in the form of like a bittersweet chocolate. If your mom ever cooked with those bittersweet morsels like my mom did, that's kind of what I'm getting at, those bittersweet like notes. Oh. But again, I love the fact that this whiskey adds the sweetness that's not in this beer, and which makes both products work well together. When I do a whiskey beer pairing, I'm not necessarily looking for aromas and flavors that are just alike. I'm looking for aromas and flavors that I think will work well together, but much like putting a meal together. Ah, oh, gorgeous. As I'm in this pub behind me, as you can hear the sound, there's no people but a lot of action, right? It's just a backdrop I found, man. I'm not really in this pub. I wish I was. It's pretty nice looking. But I would be a little creeped out by the fact that there's no people and a whole lot of action going on. Anyways, I digress. It's on the other side of the camera, I guess. Anyway, I digress. Peanut butter. That's good. Wow. I do love that whiskey. I got to tell you, that is some fine whiskey. It just makes me feel good all over. Anyway, so to get more exact on you, intense coffee on the nose. You do get a little bit of that barrel spice, although the addition of the espresso kind of really, again, takes it way to the back. But you do feel a little bit of it that really helps balance it all out. Chocolate here has become a supporting character where the vanilla has just become a bit player. It's just a cameo at this point. It's just on there. Here I am, I'm vanilla. I'm leaving the set now. That's kind of what it does here. And then you get to the finish is where you feel that vanilla the most. You get it right. It just kind of helps finish it all up, and then you get that note of bittersweet chocolate, and just a hint of oak to wrap it all up for you. So there you go. And what can I say about this whiskey? I really enjoyed this whiskey, man. And I almost cringed when I bought it, and I bought it partly because, partly it was on sale. It's about a $50 bourbon, but it was on sale for about $45. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger at $45, and I kind of cringed when I bought it because it just seemed like a lot of money. But I am a Bob Dylan fan, and that was part of why I went ahead and pulled the trigger. That and it being on sale. They had a double barrel whiskey that was 100 proof. And mostly, I would typically buy the higher proof for the same amount of money. But I really wanted to know what they were doing with the bourbon, which is why I started there first. But I gotta tell you, even at full ticket, it is worth the 50 because it's just there. I mean, it's that complex. The flavors are there, the aromas are there. There's nothing wrong with this whiskey at all. At 90 proof, it is a whiskey that I would say is probably best drank neat. When I first got it, I did have some on the rocks to kind of compare the two, but I wouldn't want a whole lot of water melting in here. I would personally not do it often, but I would use it in a Manhattan more so than an old fashioned because I don't know, I wouldn't want to add that additional sweetness to it. But I think the type of bourbon it is would allow it really to shine in a Manhattan, where I'm just getting it cold and not leaving ice in there to continue to water down. But it is just a great whiskey neat, I got to tell you. At $50, I'm not going to hide the ball of $50 whiskey. I mean, I'm a working class guy. I'm not a 1%er. I'm not even a 10%er. I'm not even a 90%er. I'm near the bottom. I just have to scrimp and save a long time to spend $50 on a whiskey. But I would rather save for a long time and spend $50 on a bottle of whiskey than buy a $10 whiskey 5 times, because I would rather have the quality than the quantity, and that's how I like to drink. I'd rather have 2 ounces and put it off to the side than drink half a fifth a night. That's just, I don't find that enjoyable anymore. I mean, I might have as a younger drinker, and I'll save those stories for another day. All I will say about that, in all honesty, is I'm just very glad that YouTube and other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I'm glad all of that didn't exist in the 80s. Because there would be some incriminating evidence. Anyway, I digress. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, pervert wisdom man. I'm also Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, pervert wisdom man. All right, good guy. Cheers, y'all. Have a good one.